Welcome, everyone, to this Cup of Coffee podcast with me, your host, Tom Dillon. This has been recorded live at our Tin Pot Mobile studio and broadcast around the world. Today's topic is maximising the value of a site with 13 planning applications from start to finish with Yogesh Patel. Before we start, I'd just like to say by way of a disclaimer that today is a wonderful discussion, but that nothing said here constitutes financial advice, and you should always take professional advice before investing your hard-earned cash. There may be the odd unplanned swear word along the way as well. The format for today is that I'll do an introduction for Yogesh, and then he'll speak to us about his what sounds like quite involved planning application, and then that'll be it. So say what you like, but it's a simple format. In terms of Yogesh has kindly spoken to us before, but today joins us, as you can see from this, for those watching anyway, from this beautiful desert island, which is where he now makes his home in his shirt and tie. He might be the first person I was reflecting to appear in shirt and tie. So if anyone can tell me that's wrong, then let me know who else appeared in shirt and tie. But ties are a bit of a dying breed, aren't they? I wistfully miss the days when everyone wore a tie a little bit because it means you could wear some great ties. I've got some great ties. I've had to bin off ties recently. Contact us, write to us if you've had to recently thin down your tie collection and if it made you sad like me. In terms of Yogesh is an experienced NHS doctor investing in property for decades. He loves planning deals and sharing ideas with like-minded people to create win-win solutions. Thank you very much for joining us today, Yogesh.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, great, and yeah, very much appreciate making the time. Why don't we crack straight into it? Why don't you tell us about this deal? It sounds like a bit of a thorny one. If you had to go back to the well 13 times to get it through planning.
I've got some slides. So shall I present them and go
Yeah,
through them?
let's do it.
You all
Let's
right? Yeah.
present the
I think
slides.
it's the easiest way. But it is a you'll see it's a long drawn out process for sure.
Mm.
So am I sharing my screen? I'm probably not, am I? Where's the share button?
Not got the slides up just yet. People are very excited about them though. As
I've now
time
lost
passes,
the share button. Where's the share button gone? Share is at the bottom, isn't it? There we go.
it's usually green.
Green.
This is proof it's happening live, people. In case you doubted
Uh,
it, with my chintzy background, as I'm in a static caravan. This isn't my home curtain. I wouldn't choose this. Mhm. I'd choose to be on the desert island with Yogesh. There he is. For
Done. Yeah.
those for those in the podcast, we've now successfully shared the slides. Um, hit it.
Okay, so I've got to be aware there's people who may not be able to see the slides.
There's definitely people who can't see the
Yeah.
slides. Welcome to
So
those people.
as I've been introduced, I'm Dr. Yogesh Patel. I'm an NHS GP in London. I do lots of things. I'm a trainer. I run the GP partnership with my other partners. Have to do business finance. I've done wacky things like done the firework walk with Tony Robbins, who's a motivational speaker from the USA, and done some of his courses. And I've been on TV a couple of times pitching deals on Property Elevator, which you can watch on YouTube and see me gain investment for a couple of deals. Very happy to be contacted. I like helping people out, and if I can help and I have time, then I will happily share my knowledge and experience and try and solve problems. That's what I love to do in life now. So that's me. I'm going to talk about maximizing the value of a site with 13 planning applications on one single site. And this is start to finish. I'm going to tell you about the good, the bad, and the difficulties and the things that worked out really well. Definitely a big learning experience. I definitely made some money at the site, but I don't know anyone else who's done 30 applications on one site. I've never come across anyone, so I thought I'd share my story. I'm a persistent person and I always try and get better and better value out of things. So I keep going um, until I think it's futile. And that's kind of the moral of the story. Keep going until you get the best you can. Um, okay, so this is a corner plot. There's a picture of people who can see it. It's a corner plot in South London, near Wimbledon, actually. I did 13 planning applications with the help, of course, of a planning consultant. Um, and I'd be very happy to share his contact if anyone wants it. It's no problem at all. Two rejections, and I got There were a couple of appeals involved, which I'll talk through. Um, I remember being at the planning committee where they discussed appeals in Merton Council, and I was the only person, or my site was the only site which had I won the appeal, and everyone else the appeals got lost. So it was good to be read out in public and say you're the only winner. I did a joint venture with a builder to build out the site. I talk a bit about finance, title splitting, and a bit about tax implications for the site as well. So I just you can look up the planning portal if you want to. I'm sharing slides with planning reference numbers. So please feel free to look at all the planning decisions in great detail. And if you can see the slides, you can copy down the planning reference, put it in Merton Planning Council and have a look yourself.
We'll publish all these numbers and things
Yeah.
with the podcast as well. So anyone who's listening can check them out later at their leisure if they want to. Just again for people listening more than going back a tiny bit to the site, just because it's the first time I heard about this site as well. Are we sensing it looks a bit like an end semi-detached sort of 3-bed house? Is that unfair? Or is that about right?
That's a good point. So I'm just showing the block plan for people who can see it. It's a corner plot. It's a 3-bed family
Yeah,
home, basically. Um, and
sure.
and
With an
that's it
okay
really.
garden, especially for London, pretty decent back garden.
An okay
Uh,
garden. So that corner plot, um, you'll see as I go through, the corner plots are I've always done well with corner plots, let's put it. And most people who see potential, the corner plots have lots of angles, they don't have so many window problems, and you can usually, if you've got enough space on the side, do something with them. So always think corner plots, think what planning can you get on them. So this is happily rented out for years. In fact, the tenant, this isn't quite new, this is new, but the tenant has been there for 2007. Where are we now? 26. So the same tenant's been there for 19 years. And he's only just given me notice because he wants to move back to his home country.
you
Um,
sure he's not got sick of all the planning applications?
he, he didn't even know about the planning applications because why would he know? He probably got some letters for his post saying, or maybe
Congratulations on the planning
you know
application.
what? He probably got letters, and he probably got letters from oh no, maybe the neighbours got letters saying, by the way, your neighbours apply for this, and please,
Right.
I'm a party wall surveyor, and if they start building, please contact me to protect your party wall. I'm sure letters like that would happen, and the council would have written to them saying, do you have any objections and stuff. So they did know about it,
Gotcha.
but you know, I until I got final planning permission, I wasn't going to build anything out for obvious reasons um,
Right.
without their consent. However, they did let me build out. Um, I mean, I've got a really good relationship. They did let me build out a loft conversion and a new house while they were living there. So we got a good relationship. A good relationship really helps. Otherwise, I'd have no
Mm.
choice but ask them to leave and then do the stuff. But you know, I gave them. It was a bit of a win-win because they wanted to stay. I said, well, if you want to stay, you have to live with the works, and they said fine. So they were happy to live with a bit of pain for a while. So that was good. Existing floor plan, sorry. So it is a 3-bedroom house,
Mm.
which basically 2 rooms in the ground, kitchen, diner at the back, and there's this garage on the side with
Mm.
a little extension behind the garage for a shower toilet type thing. And the floor above the ground floor which is called the first floor, um, is got 2 big bedrooms, one little study bedroom type thing, and a bathroom. Um, and then part of the planning permission, I got a loft conversion, which got 2 extra bedrooms up there, which are both en suite as well. Um, so that's what is the existing thing. And this just shows existing elevations. You kind of get what it looks like from the front and the back. But basically, 3-bed house with the loft conversion, which is involved, which had to get planning for, which you'll see, and a side little garage. And so what happened is my architect said he could probably fit a little house where the garage is. I said, there's no way. It's too thin. It's only 3 or 4 meters wide. That's not impossible. But I'll take a punt. I really think it'd get failed. I really think it'll get declined. But my plan consultant gets things through that I always think I'm never going to get through. And he's usually right and I'm usually wrong, which is kind of useful. So anyway, so that was the end goal, but there was a process to get that house, um, which was to get planning permission for a side extension. I think it's easier if I show you the pictures. Um, I think it's yeah, I'll show you here. So to get a side extension, so where the garage is, and get a side double-story extension granted. So still a
Mm.
house, not a separate house. And he
Yeah.
said if you do that, then you've got the bulk agreed, which means they can't decline a new house because of the bulkiness of it, because you already got
Right.
plans to build a side extension, so that can't be a refusal reason. So that's step one, which got granted
Yeah.
fairly easily. I think that shows it better. Yeah, so it's a side extension, not a house. And then planning two. Oh, I had to get the loft extension planning, and that was what we call it can be done without planning because of the size of it. You can build, I can't remember what size, 40 meters square maybe. I might be wrong. That can just be built without planning because it's in the law that you're allowed to do it without formal planning. But
What, sorry, what can we build? The loft
oh,
extension are we
the
talking
loft
about? The
extension,
loft
yeah.
conversion, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the loft
okay, great.
conversion can just be built. You don't need to get planning because the planning rule says if it's under a certain size, you can build it. There are some other criteria, but you can just go ahead and build it. But
Yeah.
what my planning consultant said, let's formalize it and let's get it officially approved with
Yeah.
drawings. So when it comes to building it out, it is part of the massing. So they won't object to it
Mm.
because you're allowed to do it. So he said formalize that. Um, and you already seen the picture of the loft conversion, but it was just 2 rooms of loft basically. And it looks a bit like that on the elevations, a little loft extension at the top. Um,
So it involved
then
doing like is it called the dormer window where that thing where you sort of flatten out the roof on one side and put windows in? That looks like
yeah,
that's
yeah,
changed
that's it.
on that drawing. Yeah.
Yeah, it says on the
Okay.
drawing, but basically flat roof. You open up the roof and you do a flat roof and you just basically open up the roof so you make room for 2 more bedrooms.
Yeah.
Pretty standard stuff. And there was nothing controversial there. So then, when you've got all that bulking approved officially by the council, then you go in for the house
So this
because
feels
now
like the big show. This is where it really starts now because you're trying to get a new house on all
yeah,
sides.
because obviously the end goal is when you get permission for a new house in London is worth a lot of money, and if you got permission to build one, that land that it occupies is worth money because you got permission to build a house. So
Yeah.
that's the end goal. And so that's planning number three, where we've got the bulk. We just want to build the same shell, but we just want to call it a house.
Yeah.
Um, and um, and that's what he did. He basically just redrew the drawings, but made it a house, not an extension. So basically, you
Right.
can't. There's no access from the other house. And
Yeah.
I thought he wouldn't get planning for that, but that's a little slim house on the side. You can see the pictures on the left-hand
Yeah.
side.
Was
It
it is
still
it a
looks
one
like
bed? Is it a two
it.
bed?
Um, I think it was officially a 1 bed to begin with. That's where the
Right.
story will unravel.
Is it a 7 bed in the end?
Um,
Have you turned it to an HMO?
HMO will be mentioned, and a few other things. Flats will be
Oh,
mentioned.
beautiful. I'm getting
Um,
ahead. I'm getting ahead of myself
yeah,
here.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
we're on number three. We're at 13. Sorry. I'll leave you to
Yeah,
tell the
yeah,
story.
yeah. Flats and HMOs will be mentioned. So it was a 1 bed. You're correct. I said, oh, and then and he got it granted. So that got granted. Um,
That's
that
good
got
news straight away,
granted.
isn't it? You made some
That
money
got
on
granted. I
the
said,
site already.
wow. So I could have just stopped there and said, well,
Mm.
just either I build it, sell it, or sell it to a developer who builds it. Either way,
Mm.
that was um, the biggest uplift I've made in terms of not the biggest uplift I've made for this site, the biggest uplift I've made, just for
Yeah.
you got to think about it. It's just paperwork. It is just an architect, a planning consultant, doing some drawings, filling out a form, paying the planning fees, and if they grant it, your land is worth a lot more money than it was before. Um,
Yeah.
and
It's like
it's just
magic.
strange how you can make money like that. I think it is strange, and it's just getting permission to do something. Um, but that's the game I like to play. Um, then somebody got refused. What got refused? Then I tried to make it bigger, and that actually got refused. I think I can't remember how I tried to make it bigger, but I think I tried to make it deeper so I could make. I tried to make a one bed into two bed by making it deeper or longer,
Right.
basically. They said their refusal reason was proposed extensions by reason of the depth, height, form, and siting would be unduly dominant and intrusive, resulting in a sense of enclosure to the neighbouring occupiers. There was only one neighbour, including the site existing dwelling, and would result in the material loss of light. Therefore, it would cause harm to neighbouring amenity, contrary to the London plan and various references, and they refused it for that reason. And they refused the second reason. The proposed action by a reason of depth, height, form, siting would appear out of keeping with the scale and proportions of the original building and would appear unduly bulky and dominant. Therefore, would cause harm to the character and appearance of the building, terrace, and wider area, and then various London plan references. So maybe I should have stopped there, but I don't do that. So I said, let's
No.
appeal. I think I said appeal. Yeah, I said appeal. So we appealed, and then my name's there. And sorry, there's one appeal I lost and one appeal. Oh, here's a decision I won. So the appeal is allowed, and the planning is now granted. This took about a year though. And they said
Mm.
it wasn't any of those things, basically. And so now I was allowed to have a two-bedroom. And I think the
Well.
argument was about I think it was about the argument was something like it was a few centimeters. I can't remember how many centimeters. The argument was about a couple of centimeters. Um, in the end, if you read the report, it tells you how many centimeters. But that's what it. Oh, here we go. It might be here. It wasn't centimeters. It was. Does it say here?
Kilometers.
Not kilometers. Blah 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 blah. It might say. No, it doesn't say there.
The
Doesn't
original
say it there,
population.
but it was. I remember reading the report. It's only about a few centimeters. Anyway, it
Okay.
basically they proved it. The appeal officer, who's independent counsel, went to see it. Said it's not that bulky. It's not that big. It's fine. So now I got two bedrooms instead of the one bedroom house because they made it.
So in terms of depth, you've sort of increased the depth of it.
Yeah,
Was that on the front or you sort of increased it on the front or on the back, or you can't
it was
remember?
the back. It was the back.
Okay, gone a bit further back,
Back.
literally.
Yeah,
Okay,
went back.
so that's enabled you to get another bedroom, presumably upstairs.
So it was about minimum space standards. Yes, basically you got a bedroom at the back because it was too small to fit two bedrooms. But when they made it longer, you
Gotcha.
could fit two bedrooms, if that makes sense.
Wowzers.
So I've built the thing now, but I've been told I could have extended it forward. So where it recesses, so I was told that you need to have it offsetting, which is behind the front line of the main existing house, and it needs to be behind
Gotcha.
it.
Yeah.
But I have now seen and talked to planning officers or my planning advisors have, and then they
Consultant.
have
Yeah.
now had other sites granted where they just pull the front up to the main front line of the house, existing house, and they
Go
would have
flush with
granted
the.
that, and they would have actually granted that.
Yeah.
Um, so maybe I should have, there's always more you can do, but now I know I could have made it um, uh, bigger because the front of it
Yes.
could be right in front, not
Yeah.
recessed.
Yes. Crap this,
Um,
Yogesh.
it's crap. So
You should have done
I was a
better,
bit
mate.
I was a bit gutted when I found it out, but
I bet you were.
it was too late. It's built now, so too
There
late.
we go. Right. Yeah. Bit late. Yeah.
So planning number five. So
We're on the under five. Wow. Okay.
five. What's this one for? Hang on, I can't. So there's so much stuff going on, I forget what.
Mm.
It's also refused. Variation the condition to increase the depth of the first floor area, um, relating to the blah blah blah. So this was to make it bigger again, in summary.
Okay.
I put that basic to make it bigger again, and it refused because of the same reasons before. I think height, form, sighting would be dominant and intrusive. The same reasons before. So they
Right.
said no. So I think I went to appeal for this one. Yeah, it's the same reasons as before. It's refused. They have standard wording for this stuff, and that stuff is quite subjective, as you can imagine. Like one person might think it's dominant, another person might think it's not. So it's subjective.
Yeah.
So the appeal, what did the appeal say? The appeal said um, the appeal was allowed again.
You're doing well
When
on appeal, aren't you?
Yeah, so the appeal was allowed again. Um, so I got it bigger in summary, and that's just the appeal reason.
When it
Um,
goes to appeal, is that all dealt with over in Bristol, the planning appeals guys,
I don't
or
know
somewhere?
actually. I don't do it. And my
Your
advisor
planning guy does it.
writes
Gotcha.
fills out a form, sends it to someone, and then he meets them on site. Oh,
Mm.
sorry, I apologize. The other appeal wasn't about a few centimeters. This one was. So the appellant's now seeking the approval of alternate plans. The only difference of any substance from the original permission is that the depth. So I've already got planning granted. I just want to make it a bit bigger. Is the depth of the
Yeah.
two-story part of the rear extension would be increased from around 3 meters to 3.275 meters. So is that 27 and a half centimeters? I think
It
that is.
is, yeah.
So
Yeah.
the council is the view that this depth, height, form, and sighting of the larger rear extension would be harmful to the neighbour. Um, so he basically says that 2.75 centimeters is not significant, and
Yeah.
he thinks it should be allowed. And
Mm.
then, and that's what, yeah, this is about 2.75 centimeters. This whole argument was about that much. I couldn't believe it. But he said that's not significant and it should be allowed. So that was interesting. Um, so I got a slightly bigger house out of that. Doesn't it just meant I could squeeze in another bedroom and it was a bit bigger. What did I do next? Can't remember. Then I said to my planning guy, um, can we go for flats? I know I've got a house and we'll bank that, but I reckon I make more money if I turn it into flats. And he said, what? I said, yeah, I'll pay you to turn it into flats. And I said, okay. So then my next planning, number 6, is let's go for 4 flats. Um, and that's what I did. And we used the same bulk, with bulks all being agreed. And I went for 1 3-bed flat. They like three bed accommodation. They don't want to lose 3-bed accommodation, and 3 1-bed flats. And if you can see the drawings, there are 4 flats there, but there's a 3-bed flat on the ground. There's a 1-bed flat on the next to on the ground. There are then a 1-bed flat on the first floor, and there's a split 1-bed flat crossing the loft and the first floor. That's kind of a summary of that. But there are 4 flats in there, again designed by my planning consultant, and he said, "We'll chuck
Mm.
that in." And do you think it got granted or not, Tom?
Looking at it, I'm going for a no straight away. Are these yellow? Oh no, those are beds. I thought they were staircases.
Yeah, the yellow things are beds,
Okay.
bedrooms,
I'm
and
I'm going I'm going for a no, but then I'd have said no for all of these. So I'm a bit mostly because of my I need to use your planning consultant because I've obviously not got
so
the
uh,
same success that you've got.
yeah, they wanted a traffic survey report, and I think that's the only
Oh, they
special
did.
report I had to pay for, and I got that for a good price and stuff.
Mm.
I learned all about traffic surveys. You basically measure the number of parking spaces available at 2 a.m. in the morning or something. And if
Right.
there's enough parking spaces available, then they usually get it through. Or sometimes in London, this is near a tube station, buses. They say you don't need cars, it's fine. We don't care about car parking. But I had to do that, or arrange that, and then it went in. And that's just the outside of what it would have looked like, which basically looks like very similar to the loft extension and the new house. The bulk is very similar.
Yeah.
And did it get granted? I think yes, it did get granted. It got granted
Oh well,
straight
well
off.
that's good.
So now the problem is I've got two options and I'm not very good at making decisions. And basically, one option increases the value of the site, which is the flat option, but
Mm.
doesn't increase the rental income. And the other option, well, no. And then I thought the other option doesn't really give me the rent. It gives you more rent, but doesn't give me a higher value of the site. So then I thought, oh, it's too much to think about. I thought, let me go for something else. Um,
Yeah, why don't we do another seven, 6 or 7 planning applications? That should
yeah.
sort it out.
So out of 13. Now, what did I do next? This is I already got a
Rear
house.
dormer roof extension.
I
We're putting
think I
another
think
dormer in.
oh I know what I did next. And I thought, okay, let's go back to the house. Can you make the house bigger? Because I'm not sure about the four flat. So I said, let's put a loft extension in the new house because it's only 2 levels, not three. And I said, I've got a loft extension in my existing house, granted. Let's get a loft extension in the new house, granted. Then I can put another bedroom up there. And then it'll be a bigger house worth more money. So he said, "We'll give it a go," but I'm not hopeful, is what my planning consultant said this time.
Mm.
Um, so the easiest way to so basically a little study or storage area in the loft is easier to see up here. So a little loft conversion in the new house is what I went for.
Yeah, right.
A dormer, much like the dormer in the existing house that I built later. So I said, let's go for a loft. Why can't we put a loft room up there? And he said, oh, it's probably too bulky or something. So did that get granted?
Well, I got my face with the no from last time, so I'm going to go for yes.
It did get granted, and
Yay!
he did it as a not a full plan application. He did it as a grant variation of condition. So I don't know what quite the difference is, but apparently that's less difficult
Difficult.
to get granted because you're just
Mm.
varying something already approved as opposed to going for full planning again. I think it's easier to get through. So yeah, that got granted. So I said, okay, now I've got a house with 3 floors. And then I had more choices. Then what did I do next? I can't remember. Oh, then I like HMOs. That's the other thing I love to do. I said, well, if I'm going to build this new house, can we make a big HMO out of the existing house? And that way I get my rent and I get the value from the new house. I get both. I like rent and uplift in what we call GDV, gross domestic value of the site.
Gross, gross
That's
development value, yeah.
Grace development, that's the right word. And I said, well, let's make that existing house a 7-bed HMO. So I get my rent. And then I can build out the new house or sell the new house to someone else. And then I get my uplift as well. I want both. And I still got permission for all flats to fall back on if I need to. So all these kind of levels are all fallback positions. So apart from risking all the fees, I paid my advisor and planning consultant. I'd already made money, so it's kind of like I don't know, maybe it's a bit like playing poker. This one, I've already said I know I've got a good hand already. Let me try and get more out of it, and if people are willing to participate, I can get more out of it. It's a bit like poker, maybe, but much bigger level. Except I'm not that good at playing poker, but but I'm good at this, so I'd rather have it this way around. I'd say,
Sure. Yeah.
yeah. Um, so that's on the right hand side with cross diagonal lines is a new house, and on the left hand side is a 7-bed HMO, which is 2 rooms and a loft, 3 rooms on the middle floor with a kitchen, and 2 bedrooms with a kitchen on the ground floor. So we applied for that.
5 en suites, I think.
Your eyes are better than mine, if you say so. Yeah. Um, and this was not an Article 4 area. People who don't know what that means. So at the time in 2023, I think it was, it was already an HMO because there were 3 or more unrelated people living there. So already an HMO. I've got grandfather rights. But you're only allowed to do 6 people. If you want 7 or more, you need to get planning permission. It is now Article 4 area, so that's all different rules. But I could use a 6-bed HMO without getting planning. That's what we call C3 to C4 PD rights, permitted development rights. So I had permission to make it 6-bed HMO, but I wanted 7, therefore I needed planning. Do you think I got this? Granted. 7 bed HMO and the new house.
Well, I'm just going to go yes because it seems to be going yes, yes, yes so far.
Yes, I did. I got that granted too.
Two from three.
Yeah. And
Keeping
then
track.
what did I do? So that got granted. So now I've got all these choices. And then what did I do next? Erection of side rear extension dormer window and the conversion of existing single dwelling to a 3 bed house and a 1 bed house. Can't remember what that was about. I'll come back to that. If that's okay.
Expiring soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why I did
It was
that.
mentioning
We're
a
gonna
dormer
come.
window. Are you extending the dormer somewhere?
Um,
Single
I
dwelling.
think there's something about tying some applications together. Um, there was some complication that if I built one, I couldn't build the other because they were independent applications. That was it. That was so confusing. So if I built the 7 bed HMO, I couldn't build the house. If I built the
All
new
right.
house, I couldn't build the 7 bed HMO. So we had to go back again and get them both approved in one application. It was
All
weird.
right.
So if I
Hmm.
did one, the other one would be cancel out. So that's what this
Some
was.
sort.
But it's a really weird
Oh,
technical
okay.
thing. And
Yeah.
obviously, I didn't want to build one and not be allowed to build the other. So I had to tie them together. So that's what this was about. It's a bit weird, but he said you have to do it. Otherwise, you can't
Right.
build the other one. So that's what this was about. I remember now. So it's the same thing,
Okay.
but let me build them both at the same time. Um, so we're 11 out of 13. So we're nearly there. What did I do
Making
now?
progress.
Um, do, 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 do.
Just to convert it to a bowling alley or the boulangerie.
2 story rear extension. Basically, I decided to make the 7 bed HMO even bigger. So that was planning number 11, which I um I have the drawings here. So now I got a builder, a joint venture and stuff involved, which I'll tell you about in a bit more detail. And he said he's got a better idea for the property. So he had a different advisor who said we should do something better. Um, Basically, he had a plan to make the house even better. And I said, I've maximized the house, you can't make it better. Um, but he had to do it in a couple of steps. And I'm going to bypass that for time. So I go to the answer and I'll show you. Here we go. So um, if you can see the drawings, that we're looking at the house. So the house is at the top. It's so the existing house is these are different floors. Okay, so there's a roof floor, first floor, second floor, and a ground floor. But if you look at the ground floor, which is the top left hand corner, the existing house is like at the bottom of that, and then the new house is angled. So the boundary is this a road. The road was angled and it got wider at the back. And he said, well, you've
Yeah.
got a straight board at the moment. Let's make it angled so you get a much bigger room at the back because of the angle. So instead of being a thin 3.5 meter
Yeah.
room wide, it now became 5 meters wide. And he said, I think you'll get planning for that. And I said,
Right.
I don't think you will. That's what my view was. But I said, it's your money. We're doing a joint venture. If you get it, I'm not going to lose out. You're going to win. Um, and he'll give me basically a better deal if he gets it granted and it will sell for more money. So we said, we'll give it a go. That was with um, a builder I was joint venturing with. And did that get granted?
So who's taking the risk on the who's taking the risk on the
Um,
planning on the planning fees? You or him or a bit of both?
do you know what? I don't remember now.
And to answer your question, while you're thinking about it,
Yeah,
I probably think it probably did get granted because you seem very jolly about things.
yeah. Um, this one did get granted. Do you know what? I actually can't remember.
Yeah,
Knowing
it did.
me, I would have had some. Um, I don't know. I actually can't remember now.
Some
Knowing
crafty
me, I
scheme
would
that
have
no one
had
could
something in
understand.
my favor. I
Right,
can't
right.
remember the details. Um, because I was thinking it won't get granted.
Fair
I
enough.
think,
So,
yeah.
in case in case anyone's not looking at these plans, just to sort of explain it with words, so you've got this side extension that Yogesh has been talking about, and then what this builder said was, look, this road run that's next to the house, it's on a corner plot, runs off at an angle, it's not running straight, which is indeed true, and so by following the line of the road rather than just going in a straight line parallel to the existing house, you can sort of kick. This is not a great explanation, but you can kick the make the side extension wider at the back. It can and get fatter as it follows the line of the road that runs slightly away from the house, and therefore make the extension bigger. Yeah, I'm just having dealt with planners and councils, especially councils on like planning permissions. You said you're going to get this one went through. I'm surprised it did, and by the sounds of it, so were you, because you said you didn't think it was going to go through either. I've just been surprised at quite a lot of these that they've gone through, but I'm delighted, and I'm mostly, I think, impressed with your planning consultant. Or well, I just can't imagine London boroughs are easy places to get planning either. I was going to say that maybe these different places are easier than others, but I imagine that London boroughs are some of the toughest to get planning applications through. Is that your experience?
Hasn't been my personal experience, but others tell me the same.
You still
So I have done other
there?
developments
Yeah,
where I've got planning for houses in Croydon, flats, house into
yeah.
flats, land, a garden into houses, and they've all been generally granted. I've not, yeah, it's not been
Not
my
too many
personal
problems.
experience, but others do say that. I
Well, there you go.
do think it's about who you pick to do it, help you with it. I do think that's fundamental,
Yeah,
because
well, there you go.
in historical times, I've had things not go so well, and I think it's about the advisor and their relationship with the council is sometimes useful to know because they know what gets approved and what doesn't before they even submit it, and that's very useful to know. Um,
Okay, well, good. Anyway, so
yeah,
back to business. So this one got approved as well, which
so
is good
that one
news.
got approved. And then what was this about? Discharge, grant of discharge. Okay, so whenever you get planning, it will say you can build this if blah 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 conditions. I don't know what the conditions would be. Like you need to do can't remember what the conditions were. I don't know what they were specifically. You feel free to look them up. But there'll be things generally like you need to send me a report that says sound won't be an issue. You need to
Mm.
measure the water consumption of the property when it's built, and it won't be above this threshold, or you'll work out a way to save water, stuff like that. And so before you build anything, there were some conditions you need to satisfy before you start build. So that was done
Just
there.
to give it a bit of a fanfare. This is crucially application number 13, isn't it? Which is clearly the last
Oh
application.
yeah,
So
sorry, yeah.
we're noting that we're on the home stretch here, people. So stick with
Uh,
us. We're getting there.
so the planning applications are done. So hopefully that was interesting. But there's a
Mm.
lot more. There's a few other things like tax and finance and SIL I want to go through.
Okay.
If you want to bear with me, the planning stuff is done, but it's not just about planning. There's about um, getting the stuff built out, thinking about tax and things. So I've got pictures here, people can see it, of the new house that got built.
Is
Um,
this with the builder you
with
sort
a
of
joint
JV'd
venture
with?
builder. So the deal I did was got the planning, and then we did a exchange contracts. And the deal was there was a sum of money they'll pay me once it's built, but I'm not involved with building it. And the material costs and the building costs is their problem, not mine. And if they overrun, that's their problem, and they have penalties, etc. And if they don't complete on time, um, the land belongs to me unless we come to an arrangement. So and that actually happened here. So they ran over and they didn't complete on time. So I'm sure they were aware that basically once then they built the house by now, but they couldn't pay me what they owed me. So they breached their contract. So my solicitor said, well, if they don't complete, you own the land and you own the house. And that was I was kind and I said, okay, let's renegotiate the contract and pay me a bit more, and I'll let you carry on until you find the money to pay me off. But maybe I was too kind. I think some ruthless people would have just taken the house and said, thank you very much. But that's what I did. So I took the risk away from me. I exchanged contracts. You must complete by this date, pay me this much. Otherwise, the land and the house and everything on it belongs to me. You need a very sophisticated solicitor to draw up that contract, but it took away the risk from me. I hope that made sense.
Yeah, crystal.
Pictures of the house. It's a thin house. I still can't believe they granted that house, to be honest, but they did.
No, it's a very, very narrow house for those, again, those who are watching, but it looks really nice, especially at the back where it just sort of kick out, gets wider at the back. It's a
Yeah.
nice looking thing. I'm very surprised. Is the main door on the side? On the side,
Yes. Yeah,
road?
the main door is on the side. Yeah.
Yeah, which makes sense because it is very narrow on the front. Must be. Is it 3 meters? Maybe. It might not even. It looks less.
I think
Like
it's
two
three
and
at
a
the
half.
front and five at
Yeah,
the back from memory.
yeah.
Yeah.
There you
There
go.
were used to be a little garage there. So I'm still surprised they granted the house, and they could have brought that front of the house forward. It's a bit
Yeah.
recessed, as you can
It's
see, but
recessed, isn't it, on the main
uh,
house?
um, oh, this is just another potential site. So my corner plot is at the front there, and the back you see lots of green stuff.
Yeah.
I know the owner of that green stuff, and they've been trying to build a house on there for a while. Well, maybe I should make that public. Other people might nick my idea, but anyway, there's potential sites everywhere. Um, and what else? That's just potential. And there's another potential site around the corner. Just keep looking for these garages that you can convert. So these are just for interest. That's the back of the house again, with a little loft conversion at the top.
Mm.
Um, and that's from a side view. Looks all good. They,
Yeah, it
I
looks
think,
nice.
I think they tried to put it on the market. They tried to sell it, but they were not able to. Hence, they delayed paying me. They put it on the market for something like 750,000. I think that's a bit much, but
Bit heavy.
they didn't find a buyer that I know about. They are going to. Well, currently, it's empty, but I think they're planning to rent it or service accommodate it. But not my problem because it no longer belongs to me. But yeah, but they paid me. They had to pay me interest and stuff for the delay in contract and premiums, etc. So I became the bank, and being in the bank is quite good because they have to pay me interest for as long as they owe me the money. Oh, this is the thing. I knew I had to slide this. Okay, tax implications. So what I could have done is I could have built the house as a side extension because it's an existing house. There is no seal council levy chargeable because they only charge you still on new accommodation, new house, new flats, but not any extensions in this borough. But you would have to pay 20% VAT to the builder to build a site extension. If I'd built the house, new build house, that is VAT exempt according to HMRC, but there'd be still payable, and oh, it's £46,000. Oh, maybe I got my figures wrong before. So I'm saying the seal for a new house is 46,563 pounds 2 pence. So I had a dilemma of whether I pay 20% VAT for site extension and not pay seal to the council, or build it as a new build house, not pay VAT to the builder, but pay the 46,000 seal. That was my dilemma. Was that clear, Tom?
I think so. You got to
Yeah.
choose between,
Choose between
for
the two.
quite
So
technical reasons, but you still got to choose between, do you pay the VAT or
yeah.
do you pay the SIL? Essentially,
So guess what I did, Tom?
you paid neither.
Paid neither. And how did I do that?
Oh
Because I
no,
did a joint venture with the builder. And so the builder is building the house themselves. So I'm not paying them VAT. I don't know I don't know, it's their internal mechanism. The builder's building it themselves. So they
right.
don't charge
Their
themselves
business.
VAT.
Yeah.
So they didn't need to pay seal because it was they built it as a side extension, and then once side is built and get planning, can I now split my house because you already give me permission to build a new house, therefore you should give me permission to split my house that's got a side extension. Does that make sense?
I think
Um,
so.
yeah. So they build a side extension, they go back to planning and say, oh, I know I built my side extension, but now I want it as a house, not as a side extension. And because it's already built, seal is not payable because it's already built. You only charge seal on things that are being built and is newly built. But if it's existing and there's no new floor space created, then the seal is not payable. If you split a house that's already built into two houses, you can't charge seal because there's no new building carried out. Took
Gotcha.
my took me a while to get my head around that. But so that basically saved me 46 grand, all the VAT, if I pay the builder to build it for me. Um, so that's an interesting way to get around that.
It's chunk of
Um,
change, isn't it?
and I've already talked about I built it with the builder, exchange contracts, and then gave them a signable contract so they could sell it. The plan was they find a buyer, sell it to them because I allow them to sign contracts. They get their money, they pay me my share, and they keep the profit. Was the plan, but they unfortunately have not found a buyer. Um, I talk about a couple of small things. These are all things you need to think about when you're doing this, not just the planning. So I've done this second time, splitting title. So I've got a mortgage on an existing house. So you need to get the lender out. They need to value the house without the garage, all the things that have been taken away, without the land, because I'm going to sell that land. The value comes around, says your house is now worth this much without the side. Um, and then you need a solicitor to split the title. And if the lender, in my case, is happy that the existing house is worth supports current lending you've got on it, then they say that's fine. We give you permission to split title. But it's a process you need to get a solicitor and your bank involved before you split title. If it's not worth what enough, then they make you pay down the loan, or worse, make you change lender. But luckily, my lender was happy with the valuer's comments. Um, and you have to sell it to a third party, not someone related to you, for this to work. My big tip is go with the valuer, be there, meet him, explain what you're doing because they get confused. Well, they might not get confused, but they may not understand what you're trying to do. So definitely meet the valuer and explain what you're planning to do. And so they really understand, because what they write in their report is kind of what the bank will follow. I've already said all that, and I've said that too. The your new solicitor will draw up things like covenants, restricted covenants, rules about drainage, access pipes, noise, and all sorts of things. So you need a solicitor who knows how to create title splitting and a new title deeds for new property. So be careful about doing that carefully, because you don't want to be stuck with a property. Because I'm still own the existing property, so I don't want to be having a problem with the next door neighbor. Like there's a blocked drain, I need access to their drainage to unblock my house. Stuff like that needs to be thought about, because they will be somebody next door. You might need them. You might need permission to enter the land, things like that. Or, you want to put things in. They can't turn that house into a restaurant or a pub. Stupid things like that. They won't get planning, but noise control. These kind of things you need to think about when you're splitting title. Uh, I'm not going to go through the numbers if that's okay today. Unless you, Tom, you think people are interested in it, I'll leave it up to Tom. I'll go through numbers if you want me to, but I'm just worried about time. These are my contact details, which you can paste onto the podcast wherever you want.
Yeah, I'll
That's it. So I'm sure you got some questions. If we have time, I might come back to the numbers, but that's it for
Well, I
now.
think why don't we finish with, because people like numbers. Why don't you give us a quick canter through just
Um,
the top line memo on numbers? I think people like that,
so,
especially what businesses like.
purchased property for 330,000 in 2008. I rented it
Mm,
out since. Uh, I had offers for the land without the house being built for around 230, but I got the joint venture builder gave me 270 plus the delay costs, which was probably another 30 grand actually. So 300 for the land I got.
yeah,
I haven't worked out the GBD for four flats. Well, I think it was the order of 1.5 million. So,
yeah,
I was thinking about, well, do we do flats, do we do HMO, do we do new house? Um, the new house didn't sell for 750, so it's not worth that. It's probably worth 650. It's my thinking now.
yeah.
I said I sold the plot for 273, but then they had to add in all the delay costs, so it ended up being 300. Um, oh, here's the four flats. I did work it out. So yeah, the four flats are worth 1.5 million. That's correct. And I've broken it down into the individual flats there. Studio flats 325, two one-bedroom flats for 400, and the larger one-bedroom flats 425. There's 1.5 million. The GDV of the seven-bed HMO. So if you get £1,000 per month per room, there's 7 rooms. That's 7,000 per month. That's 84,000 per year. Then you do something called a 6% yield. Converts that value to 1.4 million. So the HMO 7 bed should be worth 1.4 million in theory. And then rentals, the studio would get 1,500, the one-bed flat would get 2,000. I don't know why I put 2-bed flat, it should say 3-bed flat. So these numbers were a bit wrong, I'm pretty sure. So sorry. The studio's
All right.
probably 1,500, the one-bed flat's probably 1,800, and the 3-bed flat's probably 2,000. That's what I think. And I haven't worked out the rest of the figures because I think that was in progress. So I don't know the figures top of my head. Sorry, my slides are
Well,
not.
I
Yeah,
think that's a good
but
canter to
yeah.
put to sort of give it a
So
top line memo is
I,
after a mere 13
yeah.
planning applications, you've got a house that you bought for 330 grand, and you're just looking at one of the options. You've got potential for 4 flats that would be worth 1.55 million, and the land that you then sold for say 300 grand to keep the numbers easy gives you a total GDV of 1.85 minus about 1.4 million for the planning applications, and you're still just about ahead on the deal.
I made some money.
So you've made excellent money, and to be congratulated for it. Um, so yeah, well, I hope that I've Yogesh is one of the most creative people I know, and has a load of ideas, some of which are good, but all of which are interesting. And so if you get a chance to communicate or come into contact with Yogesh, he's an excellent man to know and a really exciting person to chat to. I always enjoy chatting to him and spending time with him, and hope you have done today or whenever you've been listening or watching. It's always a bit tricky when we're doing planning applications because some of it is a little bit visual, but hopefully we've done our best for those who, because I know more people probably listen to this than watch it, to make it interesting and engaging for those who've been listening as well as those who've been watching. Feedback is always welcome. If you know of any fabulous guests like Yogesh we can get on to speak to, then that would be fabulous. We've had some good guests on recently and been, I think, improving our output and improving the volume of output as well. So thanks for the feedback I've had on that already, and more, as I say, is always welcome. We'll publish Yogesh's contact details with this podcast as always, and I'll speak to him after and try and get his planning guys details, because if those are public knowledge, then I personally got a phone call to make, as he sounds excellent. Otherwise, I'd like to thank Yogesh for participating and presenting today, and all of you for everyone for watching, listening, and see you on the next one. Thanks very much. Cheers, Yogesh.
Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.